basically, as a physician, I am trained even in the middle of my sleep to, diagnose and go. So I was basically like, okay, what's happening to me? A, B, C, D, E. Then I put the pros and cons of continuing. Well, the cons were 2 pages long. The pro was like this. And then most importantly, I looked at my 2 kids and I'm like, I almost just died like 8 months prior of my second one. And my baby almost died. And here I am busting my butt this way and doing this to myself. How am I showing gratitude?
Welcome to Endless Coffee Cup, a regular discussion of marketing news, culture, and media for our complex digital lifestyle. Join Matt Bailey as he engages in conversation to find insights beyond the latest headlines and deeper understanding for those involved in marketing. Grab a cup of coffee, have a seat, and thanks for joining.
Well, hello, dear listeners, and welcome to another edition of the Endless Coffee Cup podcast. And today I'd like to do something a little different because I don't know about you, but after 2 years of a pandemic, and maybe some of you are going back to the office, but I've just noticed that people seem to be on edge. And there's a lot of stress and a lot of tension, and especially in the workplace. And so I heard Dr. Tomi Mitchell on a podcast, and I immediately said, I need her on the Endless Coffee Cup. And we're going to talk a little bit about mental health, burnout, stress. And Dr. Mitchell, I was so impressed when I heard you. And if you could please introduce yourself to the audience, a little bit about your background, and what is it that made you want to focus on burnout?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Tomi Mitchell. I am a board certified family physician and a coach, speaker, and soon to be author. Why did I get on this path? Well, like we all been through the past 2 eventful years, that really tested me and pushed me to new limits. I am a type A personality as well. Go, 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 go. But I still have fun. But I went and flat out, after I had my second pregnancy, then 3 months later, the pandemic, and then all the COVID frontline worker stuff. I hit the point of exhaustion. And I reached the point of apathy. And that is so unlike me. Getting on the phone and not the usual happy, hey, how's it going? Laughing, how's your friend? How's your auntie? How's this? That was gone.
Wow.
And I felt like hitting my head against the wall. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this no more. I need a break. So I took a break, and then I started my own journey of healing, which I would be delighted to share with you, and as we go along this conversation. So really, why did I pick this topic? Because I was healing myself. Physician, thou art thy healer, I believe. So
Yeah.
I was able to make myself full again, and in some ways, full for the first time, reveal the authentic self. And that's really key in finding peace in this craziness. Anyway, I can talk for hours, so you know that, Matt. So go ahead.
That's all right. That's all right. No, you made a point there, just with the type A personality of go, 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 go. I would put myself in that category. My wife jokes with me because I'll come to dinner and I'll say, I'm almost done with these projects. And once I'm done, I'm going to relax. And she just laughs at me. She's like, no, you're not. You're just going to take on more projects, because when you don't have anything, you get stir crazy. And what is it about that type A personality that you just have to be busy all the time?
I think we're hardwired that way. I say I was born in a rush. I was born in 6 minutes. I was impatient. Looking at the microwave, when is it going to be done? Well, clearly I can tell when it's going to be done. That was me. I don't know what to say. And then family nurturing kind of encouraged that type of personality. Some juice. So yeah, I think nature nurture plays a huge part. And I know there's some genetic piece, obviously, in that equation.
I can identify with that. My father was very much a type A, go, 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 go. And I could see that.
Drill sergeant, another name.
That's great. Well, let's just dive in. What are some signs, because you do a lot in this track on professional burnout?
Yes.
And what are some signs that someone might be facing that or heading that way?
For sure. So I like to use the analogy of the check engine light. So what are some signs that your car is telling you, or experiences you taking your car through, that may suggest that you're probably going to get an engine light soon? So that's like yellow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've gone on long, long road trips cross country multiple times. Go figure, you might need an oil change or something, right?
Yep.
Or maybe you're really tired of the car starting to squeak a little bit, but still smooth. Those signs, and we can apply those to our lives. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we've been going on project after project after project after project with no break. Maybe you can't remember the last time you had like a staycation, uh, like just put your feet up and did nothing, like literally nothing. Maybe your partner is telling you, so, you don't spend time with me,
Right. Right.
right? So those are signs. Red, when the check engine light comes on, it's like we're in trouble. Like you're gonna see your engine's gonna seize. Like get going. Your partner's like, this is an ultimatum.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of the analogies for the differences I like to use for
Mm.
those car lovers.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, I know I've had to deal with that in my own life of having
Mhm.
those, check engine lights come on.
Yeah.
But what is it that makes us ignore that? That,
Oh,
we
because
see the signs, but we rationalize.
I am classic example duty, right?
Okay.
I
Yeah.
am loyal to the fault. Okay. And I was like, my patients depend on it. I need to. And then
Mm,
not only that responsibility, I was a business owner. I am a business owner, so that's another risk category on its own, right?
mm.
So, and that's just how you've been most through all your life. That's all you know. You don't remember stopping. Stopping in your brain might be viewed as failure, and it's not.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, I remember making the comment once that, yeah, I'll sleep during Christmas because
Oh,
and just kind of
you're
pushing that off.
I go a step further. It's kind of morbid to listeners, but I'll sleep when I pass on.
Yep. Yep. I didn't want to say that to my family, but that was I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I'll sleep and I'm dead. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
but it's part of that rationalization that I think we all make when we know there's pressure. We know we should take a step back, but there's that rationalization. I like how you brought in obligations. Especially you as a doctor, your obligation is to your patients. You're trying to make them better, but then you also have a practice. You have
Yes.
a family. And I find the same thing. So I'm in the marketing world. I have a business, but I also have clients. And those clients are relying on me for things. But, I also find just among other marketers that there's an immense amount of pressure. And maybe there's a similarity in the medical world is there's
Mhm.
constant change.
Yes, constant
Constant
change.
change, and then not
Yes.
only are things changing, I have to know what's changing, and I have to be
Yes.
able to speak about it intelligently to a manager or to a client, and so I have to adjust, I have to keep up, I have to deliver. It just keeps going, kinda like that hamster wheel,
Hmm.
and there's no exit ramp.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned change. Again, the last 2 years, the change was amplified. Suddenly the set date, everything shut down,
Mhm.
right? But I mean, our lives didn't shut down as far as bills and responsibilities and kids to feed and mortgages, leases, and trying to pivot in this new world, right?
Mhm.
Things have changed dramatically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mentioned the other night, I feel like we should make this an annual event where everything shuts down around the world for 2 weeks, because I look back on that, and that was probably the most relaxed because there was nothing to do. No one clients weren't calling because they didn't know what was
They
gonna
didn't
happen.
expect you to, yeah.
Yeah, nobody
It was
knew.
beautiful.
Yeah. There was someone posted a picture of I think it was a street in England in one of the
Mhm.
towns there. It was just bare and a few people walking around, and it was, wow, that if we weren't so uptight, if we weren't so worried about what's gonna happen, that's why I said, I think we should do this annually, is just press pause for 2 weeks around the world, let everyone catch their breath, and boy, what a difference that might make to people.
Definitely. I think in some ways that's kind of how we have those federal holidays, but let's face it, stores are open, everyone's busy catching up. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that would be really nice because I really, really enjoyed the pause. It was so good.
Mm, yeah.
And it was inflicted on me, so it wasn't my fault.
And that's the thing, is a type A, are we more expecting external things to make us stop and pause?
Yes,
Because
we need to get permission
yeah.
to take care of ourselves, right? Like we're five. Can I go to the
So
bathroom? Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. You want to go play in the sandbox? Yeah, you should. Right? Like seriously, we lose fun.
Mm. Why is it so
Like,
hard for us to give ourselves permission?
because sometimes we're hard on ourselves, like judgmental and self-critical. We are often our worst enemies.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah.
Very true. I guess I look at it as, even in my notes here, I'm like, how much of this is internal? How much is external when we
Yes.
face that burnout?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
both. Yeah. Wow. Wow. So one of your topics was extremely interesting that you had, and it was how to improve productivity and resiliency. And then you also had and relationships, which I thought was
Ah,
really how do
I know
you
I threw a lot in there.
but what caught my eye was how do you improve productivity without burning out? Because that seems contradictory.
It does. It does if you do it the way society has been going for a long time.
Mhm.
However, if you start with the foundation of wellness, where you have physical wellness, emotional, spiritual, financial, occupational, environmental, all the good stuff, and they support each other. So maybe your finances might get a hit if you lose if you lose hours, but I mean, at least you have a strong family net. You still have a good social net to fall back on, so you can stay strong. And that's part of the wellness wheel. And when
Mhm.
you're strong, your mind is sharper. Like I honestly am the smartest I've been to my recollection ever. I am the strongest I've ever been at this stage, even compared to 10 years ago,
Mhm.
because I prioritize chillaxing, taking a breath, exercising, managing the excess weight, um, pushing myself in the gym, just having really clear boundaries and then creating a culture of wellness around me.
Mm.
So that's the foundation.
Hmm.
So you get to increase capacity. You actually increase the size of your cup, or
Mhm.
you just get a bigger one.
Wow. I love that. I love that example. I love that visualization that you're saying there. I know when I started my own company, it was so hard at first because I was used to working, 8 to 5.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I felt like now that it's my company, now that I'm starting something, if I'm not working 8 to 5, then I've got a problem. I should be busy all day long. And honestly, it turns into 8 to 8. It turns into 8 to
Oh, yeah.
10,
Hmm.
because but there was that mentality that if I work less than an 8-hour day, I'm not productive.
Mm-mm. That's the mistake we made. So there's other tools to help improve, get the best out of the 24 hours because we all have 24 hours, but how come some people seem to achieve more than others, right? Some part of it is what we just talked about capacity health. Mental health is everything, and we're in a mental health crisis. That's another
Mhm.
story on itself. But also having this sometimes type A personalities like to hog and do everything themselves, right? Because they know it will get done. I know it will get done, and I know
Right.
it will get done well, right?
Right. Right.
But you have to ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now a good use of my time? And then be like, okay, who else could do this for me? So I can do A, B, C, D, E.
Mhm.
Classic example, obviously I have young kids. I love a clean house, but I'm not going to scrub. I don't have the time. When I was a kid who lived at home, I was Cinderella. Okay, I cleaned the
Oh.
house. But now, now I hire it out as much as
Mhm.
possible because I'm better off resting to fill my cup, because we talk about energy input, energy output. We got to
Right.
balance that equation. So we can't be taking. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to share, carry the load. That's part of it. And then tools to increase productivity. There's so many cool technology software that can help plan, schedule, like the whole social media marketing piece. Like I don't manually post. Like 80% I don't.
Mm.
I pre-plan. I
Yep.
schedule it. Schedule and forget it. And with this year being as nutty as it has been, I am so thankful I had those in place.
Mm. Great, great. Yeah, I'm partially laughing because before I hit record, we're talking about using freelancers and but sometimes you just got to do it yourself.
Yeah, some things you got to do yourself. Oh yeah.
But that's great. I look back and yeah, the time when I felt, the most directed, the most productive is when I would take my kids to school in the morning and go right from there to the gym
Yeah.
and spend about an hour, hour and a half
Mm-hmm.
there, then go back home, eat a larger breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
and and really kind of take my time. And
Yeah.
but the mental gymnastics
Mm-hmm.
to tell myself it's okay to start work at 10 o'clock.
Oh,
Oh my,
embrace that.
oh,
It is okay to start work at 10 o'clock.
yeah. I tell people that was the biggest struggle that I had is that I can't let go of that mentality that I'm wasting the day, I'm wasting the
Mm-hmm.
morning, and that was the most difficult thing I ever had to overcome, even though I'm productive. I feel great. I feel more in control of things, but something about that clock I just couldn't get out of my head.
Definitely. Well, just think you're filling your tank with
Yeah,
with the best quality oil.
absolutely. Absolutely. And then, you kind of go through phases and now I'm back and now I'm getting back in the gym again after all this. So it's really interesting how it's so hard just because of events, life events, that adaptive
Yeah.
you've got to change and be I'm so comfortable in that routine, but as soon as the routine changes, it takes it's so much effort to get back into something.
Definitely. And you mentioned life events, which is a really good point. So life has its ebbs and flows, like up and down. But the goal is that the average is stable,
Mhm.
right? So and we have to leave reserve for life events, right?
Mm.
Because that's how life is. But
Yeah.
if we go, and we pull that elastic to like the maximum like stretch point, and you go a little more, it snaps.
Mm. Yeah, I like what you're saying there. So if we're constantly in this state of busyness, then a life event will absolutely sabotage whatever it is we're
Exactly.
working for because we can't fit anything more.
Exactly.
Um,
And that's what happened
wow.
to me.
Mm,
I went to that snap point.
wow. I mean, do you saying that's part of your story? Would you like to share that and how
Oh,
that
well,
changed?
really, the biggest life events are what I call, well, I always talk about BC, before children and before COVID. Children started it, right? And then with my second one born just that Christmas 2019, yeah, with two kids,
Mhm.
and my husband took a job like 8 hours away, so he was gone. So I was basically a single mother,
Ugh.
right?
Yep.
That and then the pandemic, and then restrictions. And then you're not supposed to see anybody, and then your social network gets pulled away. Talking about the wellness wheel, right? You
Mhm.
know, the job was threatened. One of my businesses was shut down, non-essential for 3 months, right?
Wow.
There's support was gone pretty much. You know, finances were strained. You know what I mean? The environment, like it was lots of things that were going on. So my what I built, which was heavy, fell.
Yeah. Wow.
I was exhausted. I was done.
Mhm. Wow. And what does that
So
do as far as what was it that made you I mean, there's that collapse, but then there's that point
mhm,
where you either go full collapse or there's that
mhm.
awareness of I mean, it seems like for you, it's very internal. I need to change. I need to change something.
Yes.
And what is it that makes that
Yes.
internal voice loud enough that you hear rather than
Oh
a
yeah.
complete collapse? You know what I mean? Of
Yep.
sometimes the internal
100%.
voice is wrong. We've dealt with, within the family some depression issues and things. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I've learned
Hmm.
is sometimes that voice is wrong and it's telling you the wrong thing. So
Hmm.
I, it, in your case, it seems like you got the right voice. And how did that?
Hmm.
So I guess here's two questions. Number one, how do you know you listen to the right
Well,
voice?
basically, yeah. Basically, as a physician, I am trained even in the middle of my sleep to, diagnose and go. So I was basically like, okay, what's happening to me? A, B, C, D, E. And then I put the pros and cons of continuing. Well, the cons were like 2 pages long. The pro was like this. And then most importantly, I looked at my 2 kids
Hmm.
and I'm like, I almost just died like 8 months prior of my second one. And my baby almost died. And
Hmm.
here I am busting my butt this way and doing this to myself. How am I showing gratitude to life? So really it was my kids, but then COVID, the two together. And then just like where the fact is, I know this has offended people in the past. We are all replaceable, but not to jobs, but not to our families.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
So you remember that.
Wow.
So that and many other things just made me like, okay, I need a break. And it was the best decision. Like it was weird being at home. And I'm like, I see my children. I'm sleeping in. What? I'm gonna go to the try yoga. I'm gonna eat, chia seeds and berries and yogurt, which I did not do before. Like it was so weird, but it was so awesome. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a big,
I
big
needed it.
difference. Yeah. It's one of the things that's come up often on the podcast, the amount of people who know Yoga with Adrian, because I think that was at the beginning. My wife started this before the pandemic. And then with all the
Hmm.
lockdowns, she's just in a groove. She got her groove on earlier, and then this just helped her.
Hmm.
And oh my goodness, it's completely changed her mental state. It's changed her outlook. And so yeah, she's gotten me into that as well. And I never thought yoga would be so appealing and so beneficial, but then it's just been amazing to get that physical part under control. And I find then when I come into the office mentally, I'm much more prepared. I'm much more
100%.
calm because physically that's been taken care of. You really, I just can't
Hmm.
explain it. There is something physiological about that. But that
Yeah,
sounds,
definitely. Definitely yoga. I used to make fun of it actually.
yeah,
I
oh
was like,
yeah.
those yoga people. Like,
Well, and that's the thing.
and then I was hurt. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I used to be in wrestling, and so I would make fun of yoga. But then when I started yoga, I'm like, wait a minute, half this stuff we did in wrestling, that was, I can't make fun of
yeah.
it anymore.
I know that I have mad respect. Mad respect.
Well, I want to bring this around, and so we're talking about some of these things, and one of the things that in marketing, and you had mentioned a little bit about this as well, social media. And
Hmm.
now through the pandemic, I've seen where there's been both positives and negatives, but for
Hmm.
someone who is under pressure, a type A, or even any kind of, I see it across the board. What's the role that social media plays in pressure, in burnout, and in stress?
Definitely. So there's a double-edged sword. So there's good, the bad, the ugly, right? Social
Mhm.
media, sadly, if you don't use it correctly, it can actually increase anxiety, depression, especially in young teenage girls. There's a study with Instagram, right? But anything can be good, anything can be like it is what it is. It's like a car. It's good, but if you drive it at 200 miles an hour on a slippery road, then it's suddenly bad. It's not a bad car. It's like how it was used. I found social media to be very beneficial because you can always control what you watch,
Hmm.
right? There's a self, you can unfollow things that just don't fit who you are and who you want to be. So it's a choice. And then you can also set limits on it too,
Hmm. How
right? You
much?
don't have
Yeah.
to, pardon me?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying and set limits. Like if you
Hmm.
know that you tend to spend hours and hours, I think in some phones you can actually pre-program it, or you can set a timer, or you can put your phone down. Probably not like on call or something. Put your phone down and leave it and
Hmm.
walk away from it. Because many of us, it's like in our hands constantly or in a pocket, and we're just mindfully just, oh, let's just check this, let's check this. Before you know, it's like, oh, I haven't done what I need to do. So
Absolutely. I
it's
always
all,
ask.
it's everything's, yeah.
Yeah, I always ask people, have you, if you've got an iPhone, you get the screen time report. And how many people have actually looked at
Mm-hmm.
that and compare your usage from one week to the next week and what's happening? And yeah, I was doing really, really well. I will say recently, I was doing really well staying off the phone. And then all of a sudden this war with Ukraine started. And now I'm seeing memes pop up where it's wake up, make sure Zelensky is still alive, go get coffee. And I feel like that now is my social
Yeah,
media. It's
yeah,
now I'm ramping right
I
back up.
agree.
But I find it interesting now that I'm getting more up to date, accurate news from social media sources than traditional news.
Hmm.
And I w-
Because most
go ahead.
people are putting it out there on social media. That's
Yeah,
what people are.
yeah. It's amazing to me how much this has changed communication and awareness, and you can also see where it's there's good and there's bad, but also
Hmm.
it's getting back into I think early in the pandemic there was they called it doom scrolling where it's just bad news, bad news, bad news, and you just keep
Yes,
scrolling through it. And unfortunately, we're kind of getting back into that now with all this that's going on. I think people are just
yes,
clamoring for any good news that there might be.
yes. So, you know what? There is good news. There's even like Insta pages where the whole thing is good news, and I don't know, have look at puppies, look at people helping people. They're there. I don't remember the page I have on my profile, but I mean, it's like, oh, that put a smile on my face. Or it's like happy tears. Sometimes it's so sweet. I'm like, I'm crying. So you can recreate your environment. That's the thing.
Mm,
We do have a lot of control, especially where we are
hmm.
here. We're not in the middle of a war-torn country.
Yeah.
So we have options for which I am forever grateful for.
You make a good point about we have control. We have control over what we see. We have control. We can curate. But yet,
Yes,
and even in the industry, I am amazed at how many people do not take advantage of that. That
I know.
they get the default. They, they take the pre-curated content and just take it all in rather than proactively, I'm going to use this as a tool and I'm going to accomplish something. That there's a definite mindset there that you're describing where number one, I would say there's an awareness
Yes.
of this could be bad, it could be good. It's going to be based on my behavior and how I control that. What
Exactly.
I guess there's that beginning there of avoiding burnout,
Hmm.
but how do we get people to that? And from this, I'm going to say, you're a parent. You also you were a family practice. How do you get people to that point till they realize you have to control this?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you're responsible for you and you have autonomy over certain choices. So we have to take ownership. I'm going to use a generalized statement. Often society likes to put the blame on somebody else. Like, this is why my life sucks, or this is this. Yes, what they're doing can contribute to it. Whether it's political, whatever, whatever, whatever. Right, I understand. But we still have personal choice.
Hmm.
So we have to take ownership for the good, the bad, and ugly. right? It's like a coach. The coach gets railed on when the team loses, right?
Yes.
It's the coach. But when it's a win, it's like the quarterback. It's like this, da, da, da. I'm like, maybe the coach. You see, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good
You gotta go
point.
and take it for the team.
Good point.
And you know what? Sometimes in some situations, despite best efforts, the, you may have to pivot. Either it's
Mm.
change jobs. I've done that. Like
Hmm.
recently, I let go of my practice, and it was 10,000 people. I gave an announcement. I was like, you know what? I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was freeing. It was hard, but I've, been doing that pros and cons list for years.
Hmm.
Right? Okay, what do I want in my life?
Mm.
What would sabotage me or prevent me from this? And that giant load was preventing me from growing other things and being the person, the individual, and the mom I wanted to be. Sometimes you got to make hard choices.
We'll tell you what, I've got a question. We're going to come right back to it after the break. As a regular listener of the Endless Coffee Cup, you know that I am passionate about learning and teaching others. With that, I've launched my own education portal for marketing professionals. It's at learn.sitelogic.com. I'm creating and launching a series of courses on analytics. First course is how to create an analytics strategy that aligns to your business objectives. The second course is 6 analytics skills that turn data into insights. The third course, launching in just a few weeks, is how to eliminate data overload and improve your presentations. This final course teaches you how to speak the language of the C-suite in your presentations, making you more persuasive, powerful, and effective in your marketing role. You'll also find short topics on data, Google algorithms, and local SEO. And finally, the centerpiece is the OMCA certification course. This is a 40-hour coached course that provides you with a solid digital marketing foundation. At the successful conclusion of this course, you are eligible to sit for the OMCA exam, and you'll receive a free voucher for the exam, a $225 value that is included with your course enrollment. I'm an advocate of the OMCA certification, as OMCA certified marketers make 16 to 25% more than their non-certified coworkers. The OMCA is proof of your skills and knowledge in this industry. Go to learn.sitelogic.com right now to accelerate your marketing career. All right, dear listener, thanks for hanging through the break here. And I just had another, as we're going through here, I hope you are taking notes and really trying to apply some of this. Tomi, you just talked about, you had a practice that you shut down because you realized, and I thought it was interesting that the reasons you gave for shutting down the practice were not business reasons. That these were personal. These were, I'm not the type of mother I want to be to my children. It's not what I want to do to myself. And I'm having flashbacks actually to, I had an agency, we were growing, we were successful, and I, as the owner, was sitting and just realizing I am doing too much. I am here,
Mhm.
there, I'm growing two
Everywhere.
businesses, and the number one reason where I sold off the agency is my kids.
Mhm.
It was my kids, my wife. It was, I'm not spending the time with them I should. And
Mhm.
you made a point that, we're replaceable.
Mhm.
And the one thought that was in my head that I'll never forget was, I am only responsible for 5 people on this earth.
Yeah. Yes.
And yet I am focusing 99.9% of my time in
On.
these areas where, like you said, I'm replaceable. But to these people, I'm not, and and like you, it was not a business decision that
Mhm.
made me pivot away from this to say that I've had enough. It was a relationship. It was
Yeah.
family. It was my kids. That was the biggest reason. And
And
wow.
health too. I threw health on there
Yeah.
too. Because as I said in my letter, I need time to heal and to,
Mm-hmm.
keep on going and just recharge. Like yeah, going flat
Wow.
out for a long time, over a decade is crazy.
It is. It
Mhm.
is. And that led to, yeah, what I would say probably the healthiest mentally, physically, spiritually, because, like I said, I'm rolling into work at 10 o'clock now.
I,
because
I hear you. I don't know
because
how I did those 6 o'clock starts. Like, what was that?
yes. Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm
I
in bed.
yeah, there's so much you can take of that. And I think right now the number one thing for me, sort of that warning light that you had talked about, is when's the last time I read a book?
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to be I would read about a book a week.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's been more than a month or two that I have picked up a book, then I know that's
Mm-hmm.
a warning sign. That is something I need to take time to do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And that happened to me. I remember this was probably 5 years, and I was like, when last have I sat on my deck and read a book? And I realized before I got into medical school, and I used to read like 3 to 4 a week.
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
like, I like when last have I enjoyed a summer? Like, oh, right.
Yep, that's a good question. The last time I enjoyed a summer, that I made that comment a while ago. Yeah. Like this summer, I'm gonna I'm gonna do this. But yeah, I mean, I and plus, you came out of medical school, right? And
Mhm,
medical school right into a practice. I mean, medical
mhm.
school itself is not
It's
known
it's rough.
it's not known as being an easy ride. That's for
Mm-mm,
sure.
it's
No.
rough.
Yeah. So you've been going,
Yeah,
well, education-wise.
since age 4.
Wow.
Hmm. I started
Wow.
school in England, and you start school at 4. And
Oh
I
my
did
goodness.
school in the summer as well. I did
Mhm.
extra work. Type A
Wow.
families, drill sergeant parents. Hmm.
Amazing, amazing. And then, yeah, I could just see it. I mean, just going right through school and right into practice because and I'm sure we justify that with because that's what we're expected to do.
Hmm.
That's what happens.
Hmm.
Wow. Let me ask, I wanna shift a little bit. As an employer, how can I recognize or read my workplace and
Yeah.
recognize when I might have employees that are ready to hit the wall and maybe
Yes.
they're not admitting it or aware of it. How,
Yeah.
as an employer, can I assess what's going on and maybe step in and help?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We've all heard about the Great Resignation, and
Hmm.
like 41 million Americans like said, "I quit" in
Yeah.
a very short amount of time. So red flags, orange flags, absenteeism, if they're sick. But again, if they're working from home, you might not know if they're sick.
Yeah.
So they can bank their sick time, sadly, for the person who's paying, right? Decreased quality of work, just disengagement. Asking them is a question, is something. Make it part of the like. Ask your employees. Make wellness part of the culture,
Mm,
because there's a term called psychological safety, where it's where an individual feels comfortable, safe, asking questions without fear of reprisal, backlash, all those things, right? So that culture needs to be created. But
yes.
we know some certain industries, it's not there. It's a
Right.
dog eat world. But we need to change that. So it starts with the leader. So, been like, okay, let's talk about something self care, or how can I help you, or just I need you to take the day off, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That culture thing is huge. I've talked about that numerous times on the podcast, and especially the freedom to ask questions. I've talked about it a couple of times that I do a lot of online training, and I can tell very quickly which companies have an open culture of questioning and which companies people are afraid to ask questions.
Exactly.
Very quickly, I can figure that out.
Hmm.
And you can try and create a culture, but realize you already have one to start. And you've got to ask, as an employer, a manager, what is our culture? And do employees feel free to have
Mhm.
that? Because yeah, those are a lot of red flags. And unfortunately, I think I saw one study that even during work from home, some employees are working 10 hours a day. They're
Yep.
still going from
Lack
meeting
of
to meeting to
boundaries.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Or
so
fear that they're gonna lose their jobs.
yeah. Yeah, I think this adds another level of maybe do you think I'm just going to interrupt myself. Do you think we're going to hit a point where work from home could have its own stresses that we're not?
Oh, we're already there.
Yeah?
Yeah, already there.
How so? What
Um,
are you seeing?
I'm seeing that the we have mental boundaries. We also have physical boundaries,
Mhm.
right? So if your home life is in the same place as your work life, how do you separate the two? It's more challenging.
Right.
And then it also adds the dynamics in the family itself. If you live on your own, it's different. But if there are other people, just because mommy closes the door in her office, mommy's there. So why can't you do something?
Mhm.
Right? So, or your partner's there, right?
Yep.
Or I'm hungry, right? So there's that. And then the another piece is the way we carry ourselves, how we dress often reflects our mental health and
Mm,
vice versa. It is very easy to slip on a pair, just basically walk in your pajama bottoms, and maybe if you have to be on Zoom, and then just put a shirt on. What you call them? Like, come on, I've I've done that. But I mean, we get sloppy,
mhm.
right? So maintaining that, whether your work is professional, whatever, maintaining that sense of structure is important. And then also being completely virtual, you lose out in key interactions with your team. There's only so much Microsoft Teams can do, or Zoom, or whatever. You miss the water cooler talk. You miss a lot of just you just don't have that. You can just pop your head into someone's office and be like, hey, I want to throw something by you.
Right.
And in some industries, you miss the opportunities to let your bosses know that you're there, you're available, you're competent, and you might actually miss out on promotion
Mhm.
because they don't know you.
Yeah. Oh,
So it's
absolutely.
like, great. I do some jobs. It's work at home, great,
Mhm.
but I'm kind of kneeling on the more hybrid.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a great approach. I even am dealing with some
Oh,
companies
sorry.
now.
Can I just
Oh,
say
good.
one more thing?
Yeah, yeah,
And for
absolutely.
those who are new to the workplace, working from home is not a great place to start,
Right. Oh,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many I mean, it's a social zoo, a workplace is.
Mm-hmm.
And I as an employer who has had remote employees,
Mm-hmm.
you're not there, you're not in the conversation.
Exactly.
And I made it a point when I had the agency, probably about twice a week, I would just pick someone and I would go to their office and sit and have coffee and talk. And it wouldn't be about work things. It would just
Mm-hmm.
be about,
Life.
whatever comes up. Let's
Yeah.
just take some time to talk and get to know each other. And I felt like that did a lot just
Mhm.
to make people feel more at ease, that it's not just
Yes.
about productivity. It's about,
Yes.
I do care and I want to know what's going
Yes.
on. And
Yeah.
without that, I see a lot of companies right now that they want training, but they still want it virtual because they're not pulling people into the office. And I'm trying to convince them that this is a perfect opportunity to bring people together.
Yes.
I'll do my training, but then you should do a company event
Yes.
because when people are relying on each other for work to get done, and you make a great point. Just putting your head in Simon's office and saying hi, there's a lot that's built that we don't see.
Exactly. It's huge.
Yeah.
You're
It
kind of out of sight,
is that the
sadly.
yeah, like social capital, I think is
Yes. Mm-hmm.
what they call that. You have to build that, and digitally, there's no great equivalent yet.
Yes. Yes. There's time and place for Zoom meetings and virtual meetings, but
Mhm.
I do believe the human contact is important because by design, we are social creatures, whether we like
Absolutely.
it or not.
Absolutely. And to your point, I can tell a difference in my work style depending upon what I'm wearing that day.
Right?
Yeah, working from home, and my wife was making fun of me the other day because I put on sweats, and she's like, "Oh, easy day?" So, I'm like,
It's
"Yes, it
true.
is. It
It's no
is."
different for the ladies, it like, that red black dress, that power suit, that splash of lip color,
Mhm.
whatever it is. If I look like whatever, I probably will end up feeling like blah, right?
Right, right. Yeah, it's, I think jeans and T-shirt for me has been, like, the absolute uniform, and lately I've been kinda seeing that this virtual stuff is gonna keep going, so maybe
Yeah.
we need to step it up because I think everyone has had it's been jeans and T-shirts, sweats, sweat,
Yes, sweats.
and wow, it really does change your view. It changes how you approach things, and
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense what you're saying. I know for me, I've got my own room, and that's work.
Yes.
And I've made it so I enjoy being there, but that's only part of it is dressing the part. I think has a lot to do with it, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's very important.
Yes, you are dressed the part.
So, what are some other advantages for employers, or what are some things they can do to and let me just ask this. What's the benefits of an employer addressing not just productivity, but mental health in the
Oh,
workplace?
it's huge. Yes, productivity, your bottom line, retention, morale,
Mm,
improvement, efficiencies, transparencies. They're more likely to open up in areas that you might not have known as the boss that you should know. And because the team as the herd is healthy, it's easier to pick out the one that's not. And
mm,
especially if you have toxic dynamics, you address the situation after, making attempts, documented, you say bye bye, right? It's
mhm,
you need to. And as the leader, when you make your mental health a priority, you can lead with strength and charisma and really get your team to be on board and buy in. That is really important. So, modeling. Because if you're just sending emails, hey, everybody, it's Wellness Wednesday. How are you? Today we're going to talk about doggy pose or whatever, Shavasana, child's pose, whatever. Do you know that this is so awesome? Have a nice day. Next email, deadline. Like,
right.
come on. Like,
Yep, definite lip service to the mental
yes.
health being a well-being of your employees when you do it by email.
Yes, yes, exactly.
That's awesome. Oh, yeah, I'm laughing because I think we all have been through that.
Of
We've all been
course.
through that, that
I'm preaching
passing.
to like myself.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
is it any surprise this great resignation happened?
No.
I
As I said, the mental health crisis that will come out of this pandemic will be actually greater than the impact of COVID on its just isolated.
Wow.
Yes. And I'm already
Wow.
seeing it.
Mhm. So the warning signs are there as well as the results are already showing up from all of this work from home and isolation.
Yes.
Wow.
Physical isolation. People are sedentary,
Mhm. Mm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
People aren't moving. People aren't interacting. People aren't maybe doing their necessary checkups. It's lots of things. All
Wow.
that affects your mental health.
Yeah. Well, what was it just an article I read yesterday about how everything is up. Drug
Mhm.
use is up, alcoholism is up, car wrecks are up,
Violence is a big
domestic
one. Child
violence,
child issues.
people going insane on airplanes, stores, and the amount of people, you know, I feel like we're gonna make the we're gonna make this timely. So many people are talking about the Oscars slap,
No.
but
Yes.
what about the people who are slapping employees? What
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's a
Mhm.
problem. That's a huge
Mhm.
problem, and it seems like this is becoming normal. I hope it's
Yes.
not, but it's evidence of I think what you're getting at is it's evidence of where the socialization maybe isn't
Huge.
part of what it should be.
No, it's a reflection of society. That's really what it is. It didn't
Mhm.
come out of a vacuum. It was just magnified over the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was already in society. No
Mm.
one create it. Didn't COVID didn't create somebody who was violent.
Mm-hmm.
It was already there, and there's many reasons people are violent, like and tension built up, and just trauma, and just poor modeling, poor choices, alcohol use. But I mean, there's reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are seeing the workforce. We're seeing the effects of changes in society that happened decades ago. Now those people are now in management positions and older, so culture has changed.
Yeah.
So that's the sad truth.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. And without that socialization to keep things in check, we're seeing things just go a little haywire there.
Things are going very haywire.
Hmm.
But if there's hope, we can address those issues typically on an individual basis, and people who are brave enough to really talk the truth without being censored. That's also key too. But it starts in the home and the sandbox, teaching that culture, sharing is caring, asking about your siblings when they do, kids make sure they give each other a hug and like, I'm so sorry. Like those little things, just checking in on them, modeling those good behaviors, they'll follow it when they get older. And I'm seeing that in my heart explodes sometimes. I'm like, oh my goodness, she's like my mini me. She's like, Mommy, we shouldn't drink that because it's too much sugar, it's not good for you, right? Right? Mommy, we need to go exercise more, right? Right? Mommy, slow down. It's not good. Like, that person wasn't very nice to that person, but, we talked about it. And, like, it's still modeling. That's
Mm.
what's lacking. It all boils down to families,
Mm.
support systems. What's going on there is that's just what's happening in the family is a reflection of what's happening in society.
Wow. Wow. That is a great point.
Society has, right? When last did they eat together on the dinner table? When last did they congregate together? When last did they done some like? There's many things, and that's a like I love that topic. Oh, it's
I could
part of me.
tell.
Yeah, I'm so passionate, and that's the truth. People don't like the truth, but this is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is too busy, and not everyone. A lot of people are too busy, and are not raising their children where they need to be raised.
Absolutely. I saw once a study, and it really, I think it was just a simple thing such as how many times a week do you have dinner together as a family?
Yes,
And then they took something as simple as that and showed, okay, kids that grow up in that environment, here's how they turn out. Kids that don't, here's how.
yes,
And I thought that was a very interesting data point, was just a
yes,
family dinner time and what
yes,
that does to probably not
yes,
just kids, but to parents as well. That
yes.
is a completely overlooked because yeah, if you've got young kids, you're running around constantly and it's hard to make that happen.
Yeah, we just have to pencil it in and make it a priority. And if it can't happen every day, then at least on weekends and one day during the week. Like, I don't believe you should be in like five different activities like kids. Like, no, pick one or two and just it shouldn't be a part time job,
I've made that
right?
comment to one of my daughters. Yes. Yes,
Good. We're on the same page.
absolutely. Tommy, this has been such a wonderful conversation. I have learned so much. This has been really, really good. And I hope, dear listener, that some of these things you've been able to take and apply and hopefully it raises maybe a flag or something that you can take some time and check out and you know, give yourself a checkup because this is so vitally important. And like you said, Tommy, this is going to become more important over the next year here. What is something? I guess can you give me a couple of things? You told me just now, check in with the family, check in with the people closest with you, make time there. But from a mental health burnout standpoint, what are some things that I can apply right now? What are some of those things that I can start to integrate into my
Yeah,
behavior to become more healthy?
for sure. One of the things I like to do is encourage people to say no when
Mm,
you're like, no, thank you. And, I really appreciate the offer to be on the bake sale committee or whatever. But right now, I have a lot on my plate and I really want to prioritize my health and my family. But in the future, feel free to ask. But do you know what I mean? Like that's just like the moms that or the dads that take on every project and then wonder why they don't have time. Or
Yes.
at the workplace, you can tell your boss, they give you a deadline. You're like, okay, thank you, I appreciate it. However, right now I'm working on project ABC, and I like to give the best quality work, and I believe that taking this on will reduce that quality. So if there's a project that I can put on hold so I can deal with this in said deadline, then please let me know. I really appreciate it, and that you take time to listen and work collaboratively, being collaborative.
Right.
I can't even talk today. Collaborate. Ugh. I've been doing so much speaking this week. I really have. I've been like talking nonstop. Even more than normal.
Yeah, that'll wear you out. There's only so many words you can say in a week.
I
So,
know.
well, Tomi, this has just been such a wonderful conversation. If you could, where can people find you?
Yeah.
And this is your chance. Pitch you
Yeah.
and
If
what
you
you do.
Google Dr. Tomi Mitchell, I'm on so many social medias platform. Website Holistic Wellness Strategies, holistic with an H, holisticwellnessstrategies.com. I'm very active on Insta at mental wellness coach _. And yeah, just search me. You'll find me.
Yep, not hard. Go to the website. You can find just about anything you need there. You can, Dr. Mitchell, Tomi, you've got a podcast. You
Yeah, I have a
do,
podcast.
yeah, you've got a podcast. You've got some
LinkedIn,
frequent,
Clubhouse, Facebook, Instagram,
yeah,
websites.
you've got
Lots of
seminars, you've got
yeah.
classes, you've got all kinds of things. So I would tell you, if this is something, I would tell anyone, don't just wave it off, because this is vital for life. It's vital for professional, social, as well as your family. And so don't write this off. And dear listener, thank you so much for tuning in on this session. Tomi, thank you again. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thanks again for tuning into the end. Oh, you know what? I completely forgot to ask Tomi. Are you a coffee drinker?
I do love coffee.
What is your favorite coffee?
Caramel macchiato. I'm a little bougie sometimes, but I mean, I'll double as long as it's double cream, double sugar. I'm good.
All right. That's great. Oh man. Yeah, I've got that down. I'm like, this is Endless Coffee Cup. I've got to ask you about your coffee. Oh, is that
I like the sweet? I have a sweet tooth. So like caramel.
Is that the drink your daughter tells you shouldn't be?
No. I think actually it's soda.
Oh.
You know this? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My kid's
All right.
just like water and milk. Like, and doesn't eat chocolate.
Well, that caramel macchiato, that'll certainly give you a booster in the day. All right. Well, thanks again. And thank you, dear listener. And I look forward to talking with you again on the next edition of the Endless Coffee Cup Podcast.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.